So it's great to be out on the bike for a proper ride rather than just commuting. I've been using this Sprint 1050 to go to work every day all the way through the winter. Apart from when the temperatures go down below zero, then I don't risk it down really. But yeah, rain, storms, everything, I've been using it, and it's been really good. But when you're sitting in traffic all the time and you've got crap weather and you always seem to be in rush hour, it gets a bit monotonous. So it's great now just to get out, just for a little blast. Don't have to be anywhere, don't have to stop anywhere. Just, yeah, it's great. Anyway, about this bike, this Triumph Sprint 1050 ST. I've had it since August last year. Now we're just at the end of February now. Now I wasn't looking for a new bike at the time. I had a Triumph Explorer 1200. And a Triumph Explorer 1200, and it started overheating. And I couldn't get to the bottom of the problem of it overheating. In the end, I came to the conclusion it must be the head gasket. And I was going to the Pyrenees on a trip about 3 weeks later. So I thought, I don't have time to get it fixed, I haven't got time to faff around, so I went off out and looked for another bike that would be suitable for doing the 2,000 mile-ish trip. And I saw this one on eBay, and I bought it for £1,700, which I thought was a stonking deal. It's only got 29,000 miles, it's got a full service history, it had just been serviced, just had a new MOT, it's got all the panniers, top box. It was perfect for going off to France and Spain. So I brought off to France and Spain and thoroughly enjoyed it. But it didn't go without its hiccups. I did have a few little problems with it, and it was all problems down to not knowing the bike, I guess. First problem was, which was a biggie, the gear selector broke down at the gear lever. Oh, excuse me. And for a day or so, it was. This is when we were actually in Spain at the time. So for a day or two before, the gear selection was getting more stiffer and stiffer and harder. In the end, you know, I just lived with it and just carried on regardless. And I was really pushing it down into gear to get into gear. And in the end, yeah, the gear selector lever just broke. Afterwards, I realised, I don't know how well you could see this down here, the little adjuster here up by the lever, that was gradually closing. And as it was closing, the clutch wasn't releasing properly, which was making the gear selection more and more difficult, which was making me, rather than just pushing down the gear lever, giving it a good kick to get it down into gear or to do anything with it. So that was a silly mistake on my part. As soon as it started getting a bit stiff, or I noticed it being a bit stiff or whatever, I should have investigated a bit, rather than just being like a bull in a china shop, as my mum used to say, and smacking it into gear. Anyway, got that fixed, and then a couple of days later, we came out of our gîte in France in the morning, and it wouldn't start. Battery was completely flat. We couldn't jump start at all. We had real pain in the arse trying to get it started, but I got it started anyway eventually. managed to get a new battery, but then came to the conclusion there's a problem with the regulator rectifier, because the other battery then went flat a day or two later then as well. So anyway, that's all that stuff from that trip anyways, all in a few videos. I'll put links to them in the description. So I got a new battery for it anyway in France, and it was the only battery I could get to fit it. But it just didn't have enough power, this battery, and turning over was very, very slow then. I think the battery was probably for a scooter probably or something like that, you know, so it was 12 volt battery and it fitted, but it just didn't have enough oomph in it. Oomph, is that the proper electrical term, or is it ohms or amps or whatever it is anyway? Technical term is oomph, so it didn't have enough oomph in the battery. So it wasn't turning over the bike quick enough. It would start okay, but I know from previous experience that trying to start a big heavy lump of a motor like this with a weak battery is not very good for the spark clutch. But anyway, I put a new battery in it now. I got a Moto bat, and it turns over so much quicker, and it's so much. It's more relieving to start, if you know what I mean, because it turns the motor off so quick, and just with 2 turns, you know, it's fired up straight away, rather than 3 or 4 laborious turns with the old battery. Anyway, those few things aside, this bike is just fantastic. I really, really like it. I do like sports tours in general. I've had a Kawasaki Z1000 SX in the past, and in fact I've had a couple of them, but I've always regretted selling it, because I just love the blend of being comfortable, being fast, it looks a bit sporty. I like all that. So I've always regretted selling that Kawasaki. And I've had one of these before as well in the past actually, but I only bought it. I bought it cheap, just with the intention of just flipping it basically, which is exactly what I did. I didn't even get it insured or anything. I bought it and I think I'd sold it within a couple of weeks and made a few quid on it. I did have a couple of rides in it, and I did like it. Yeah, that was a couple of years ago. So that's how I came across this bike anyway. Now, what can I tell you about the bike itself? Well, it goes really well. It's really comfortable. I can tell you how comfortable it is because, like I've said already, I've gone to Spain on it. We've had a number of 7, 8, 9 hour days in the saddle, and I've been absolutely fine. No problem at all. I'm 6'3", and I've got no problem on it at all for comfort. For touring like that, it's like I said, it's very comfortable. It's got a good range. It'll do anything between 170 up to 200 miles in the tank. A bit less than that if you're really hammering it. It's good fun on the twisty bits. I'm no Jorge Lorenzo, so I like to ride fast, but I don't push it to anywhere near its limits. But for my sort of riding, it's fantastic. No problems with it whatsoever. It's got 123 brake horsepower, which is, as far as I'm concerned, that's plenty. My Ducati Multistrada used to have, I think that was like 150 or something like that, but like I said, I don't use half of that potential, so it's more than enough for me. I love the way this bike looks. From obviously the triple engine, that triple just runs through the theme of it all the way through the bike, like the 3 headlights. The triple clocks, the buttons, the exhaust at the back. Yeah, I think it's a fabulous looking bike. Not at the moment, not particularly at the moment, because this is filthy because the roads are so bad at the moment. But yeah, love the way it looks. This little bit missing here actually was from the previous owner. He said a lorry reversed into him. I can imagine the poor chap sitting in a petrol station or something, and a lorry beep, 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 reversing back into him, and he's shouting, "Stop, stop, stop!" And then flashing his lights and turning on the indicators and doing everything apart from beeping the horn. So yeah, so broke that first front bit of the fairing and the screen. The screen is obviously replaced. I've had quite a few bikes over the last few years, so I can compare this to quite a few other bikes. Obviously I've had a few very well, not very expensive, but so more premium bikes than that, newer bikes than this, so take those out of the equation. But other bikes for sort of around the £2,000 mark, I would say this is probably my favourite. I've had a VFR 800, the VTEC one, nice bike, really enjoyed it. But again, I prefer this. This is a bit bigger and just a bit better everywhere, really. Excuse me. I've had the old Sprint 955, and again, nothing wrong with it, a good bike. But again, it was just a bit older and lacking a little bit everywhere compared to this. Like, it was just a little bit less powerful, handled a bit worse, so looked a bit older. I've had what else? I've had speed triples. They're not really, you're comparing apples and oranges there really with a naked bike, but I've had a TDM 850 for example, again a little bit older. I'd definitely take this one over the TDM. I've had a couple of Z1000 SXs which I've already mentioned. I definitely prefer the Z1000 SX, although they're a little bit newer. You would have thought Triumph would have, if Triumph sort of carried on with this ST1050, they would have had a good rival for the Z1000 SX. It's very similar sort of thing, big comfy sports tourer, but I think Triumph brought this out at a time when everybody was buying adventure bikes. Adventure bikes weren't very big in the UK for quite a long time, and then back in the noughties it started to get more popular, to the point where the go-to bike now, and sports tours don't really get a look in anymore. And I do like big adventure style bikes, but I think I prefer a sports tourer actually. I'm going to point, I'm not sure now if I'm going to be able to see. I'm pointing this down at the clocks. So on the clocks we've got the time on there. There's quite a good few features on this. That's my average miles per gallon. Oh, that's my current miles per gallon that I'm doing. Then that's my average miles per gallon. Press it again. That's 46 miles. That's my range that I've got until I need to get more fuel. I'm not sure what that one is. I think that's the amount of miles I've done since I've last reset the trip. and that's the amount of time that has passed since I've reset the trip. That's my average speed. Let's gloss over that one. Don't know what that one is. And then back to the time again. So it's quite, it's quite good. The clock's there. It doesn't have a gear indicator. It's not the end of the world, really. I suppose you sort of do get a feel for what gear you're in. I guess if you're used to having one, you'd probably miss it. But if you're not used to having one, you soon get used to it. This has also got heated grips. The switch is down here. I think this is I've seen other bikes, other sprints with the switch for it down there. I think it's probably one that it's an aftermarket part put on by the Triumph dealers, and that's their sort of go-to place for it. On the other side, over here, we've also got a little lockable glove box, which is quite handy. That, you put some tools or a puncture repair kit or your phone or a few bits and pieces of that in it. There's no storage space underneath the seat, because obviously the exhaust is under the seat, so you miss out on a bit of storage space there. But then again, bikes these days don't really tend to have any storage space under there, do they? Not like a CBR, back in the day where you'd be able to fit loads of stuff under the seat, but no, not anymore. So, in summary then, would I recommend this bike? For a dual bike for around the £2,000 mark, yes, definitely, without a doubt. Of course there are better bikes out there, more expensive bikes. If you want something more track focused, this isn't for you. If you want to just go hooning around, popping wheelies, again, this probably isn't the bike for you. But as a general do-it-all bike, it's just brilliant. From commuting to touring, just blasting around. I love it.